What's up, guys? It's John here with National Sports Entertainment, and I just wanted to go into Sunday's picks again, and some more picks Sunday, and also go into the system. This is another perfect time to go into it because if you followed the Yankees-Dodgers game, what I want to show people, both people that have been following probably know this. I have a misprint here, I guess. But anyway. People that have been watching know this, and people that haven't, sometimes they'll come on and I guess they'll assume because we take big hits that the system's not working. So let's look. We started at 185 and we are currently around 335. Now, if somebody came on and I just told them the gist, yeah, we've been doing this for about 2-3 weeks. Oh, and we started with 185. Oh, and we took 2 losses that nearly equated to $1,000. Yeah, but we're up about 2 times what we started with. Nobody would believe us. The only people that believe us are you guys that have been watching these videos and understanding how the system works. That you can take big losses, which, by the way, I shouldn't have done a 4th leg on this one. I only did it because I knew we could afford to and still have a good bankroll. But the value is always stop on the 3rd leg. But yeah, so I just wanted to show you guys. That way, I never get emotionally involved in any one game. Because I know it's fake, and I know like SMU last night, like 2 nights ago, whenever that was, stuff like that's going to happen. So we prepared with Oklahoma. And even if a sequence doesn't work out like this, since we win so many sequences, and since the system is backed by metrics that just over time hold up, that's why we're able to sustain these losses. Any other system, and we would not have been able to sustain those losses. So I just wanted to explain the rig system, which was ironically founded by a guy who only bet baseball. But yeah, I just wanted to explain the system so people understand, because I know a few people, most do, but there's still a few people that are pretty, like, they don't understand how we can be making money despite, they look at it like, oh, well, on this one, like, we'll go to sequence, I don't know, one of the ones we went to 3 legs on. So on sequence 35, they'll say, oh, well, you're betting $120 to win 25. That's just stupid. But they're not looking at the long term. It reminds me of poker. If you start off with 5,000 chips and then you get up to 12, then you get a bad beat down to 8, you might be a little upset. But only somebody that's not disciplined is going to tilt and push all that money in. Someone that's disciplined is going to understand, hey, we're still up about 75%. So right now I think we're about double, because we have 277, and I think I have 3 or 4 live, or not live, bets going for this weekend. Yeah, we got 3 so far, and I like them. The Packers is a double up, Green Bay -7. I just think it seems like a trap to me. For whatever reason, despite barely beating, and I explained this earlier, but I was going over college football, NFL, and baseball. So now I have more time to just go over these games. This guy just barely beat a 3rd stringer, lost to a guy that's backing up, that's injured, not backing up, I'm sorry, he's injured. And now we're expected to believe they're 7-point favorites, or 7.5 now, over the Jets. So everyone's going to go ahead and take the Jets. And I checked the public money on however accurate Vegas Insider is, and it seems to be pretty heavy on the Jets, not just to cover but to win. So this is one I see Aaron Rodgers easy win. That's why I picked that for leg 2 of the only other loss we had today, which was we had 2 football losses. And for the second one of Colorado State, they didn't go over. So that'll be 55-20. I also like New Orleans a lot. I went over that, and I went over San Francisco. I like New Orleans because, again, I feel like it moved, where now they're getting 3. It was actually even odds when it opened. So they might wind up losing by 1 or 2. They've done that before. But for it to be this close with the Andy Dalton story, I feel like I'm sticking with the Saints winning a very close game. I do know a lot of, it was brought up to me by Marco in the chat that it'll be Chase and Burrow's return to New Orleans, to Louisiana. So it should be interesting to see how the fans receive them. And as I'm filming this, I'm hoping Tracy watches this next video. Tracy's the person who likes to, after the games, post who they had winning and why, but they never want to put their money where their mouth is. But they never like to admit when we're up, like we've been up the entire time. So since you commented, Tracy, again, I would advise you to restart the video and maybe watch our entire playlist, because the results don't lie. We're doubled up, and one baseball game is not how I do my system. I'm never going to bet all my money on a baseball game, Tracy, no matter how much you want me to. It's just not smart. So back to this. I'm guessing Tracy's a Cowboys fan, so she's not going to like this one either. And the reason I don't think so is because it's a late game, so I'm going to look into it a little more. But let's look at the payoff for victory for Mr. Rush. Oh, then they get to play the Lions. After playing the Rams, who were in the Super Bowl, beating them, then the undefeated at the time Giants. Then they're going to beat the undefeated Eagles to play the Lions? I don't think that narrative makes sense. What makes sense to me is they find a reason that Dak needs to come back in because Rush has not handled an actual threat. And that's why Dak is going to come back in. The Eagles are going to continue undefeated into primetime against the Texans. There's a reason they have 2 straight primetime games. They're not losing to the Cowboys. So that's my next pick. And I just bring it up because I found it interesting, because Tracy is commenting that it's indifferent to me, does not believe that there can be rigour in sports and that the better team wins, et cetera, et cetera. So it's interesting to see that the Cowboys, who have been playing really well, are 7-point dogs in a divisional matchup. So I'm sure Tracy's going to be taking that +7. And unfortunately, I'm not. I just don't think that there's any way that the Eagles are giving up 6-7 points in this game. Everybody is going to be all over the Cowboys, thinking that they're going to get the upset. So this one's a late game. So what I like to do is get the odds while they're good. I like -6 because it might move to 7. So what happens here is, just say one of our 1 or 4 o'clock games doesn't go through. We just make this a second sequence. So that's another one I like. It's funny Tracy commented as I was going to bring that one up, because it's the one game that's not one of the day games that stuck out to me. A lot of these games, nothing jumps out to me. Jags, Colts, that's what you expect. Like I said, I can see the Jags playing spoiler, but it depends on the public money. Of course, the Jets jumps out. Ravens looks about right. I feel like those are the line. Even though the Giants won in London, Lamar is somebody that is portrayed as he can't be stopped. So I know people are like 1 picks on this one. I'm going to play it just for the simple fact that I really think they're building a narrative with Lamar, and I think he'll cover the spread. I thought it was a 4 o'clock game, but since it's 1 o'clock, we're going to play that game now. That way we're going to have a couple of our sequences for the 4 o'clock. So I like Lamar -5.5. I'll buy it to 5. You'll be surprised how many times you get weird scores, like 22-17 or something. So I'd rather just take that little chance of drawing. But I think he wins it by a touchdown, to be quite honest. I think they gave... All right, that's fine. I think they gave Jones his moment. And I think Lamar is going to wind up getting a win here. All right, for some reason it wasn't going through. I already did go with the Niners. When I picked them, they were -5. I think I showed you that in the notes. But yeah, I like the Niners. The only thing I don't like about the Niners is there is public money on them, and I feel like it's a trap, but I could be wrong. It just seems like they should be giving more than 5. I feel like they should be given like a touchdown with how good they've played. But one thing I do like a lot about the Niners is they're the only team left that is undefeated against the spread. Not them, but the Falcons, the team they're playing. That just doesn't hold up. It's not going to hold up. So even if they lose, if we say they cover and go 6-0, I'm going to be fading them next week, because you can see there's only a handful of teams that are 80%. It does not hold up. That's why I like this metric for this system. It makes the most sense. to go with over the course of a season, you know that there's not going to be a team that finishes like 3-12 in 2019, and you can just go back and back. There's not going to be a team that finishes without a win against the spread. It doesn't happen, and there's not going to be a team that finishes undefeated. So you can see we have four, which honestly for me, I usually go with 3 in the 1 o'clock games, just because you don't want to have too many going, because there's not that many 4s to make up for them. But we do have Green Bay here. We do have San Francisco. We got the Saints. I can see people liking the Bengals because of the LSU story, but for now I like the Saints. I like the Eagles. Again, that one we can add to if we need to. Again, there's no payoff for a rush. The payoff ended. It's kind of like when Kansas met TCU, and they were like, "Oh, is the Cinderella story going to continue?" Well, no, there was no reason for it to continue. It just didn't make sense. So it's the same case here. There's no reason to continue the Cinderella story of Rush. It only makes sense that they're going to force the narrative that now he's dealing with an actual team. Before, as good as the Rams were, they're no Philly. You can see the narratives already. So Eagles are definitely taking that, but we're going to wait to see what we do with if we're doing that on a second leg. And then Baltimore at like minus the 5. So those are the ones I like for 1 o'clock. And like I said, we still have ample amount of. That's why I like to do the system this way, keep every bet the same. For the 4 o'clock games, them just at a glance, I'm not in love with them. There's a lot of times, you only have a couple anyway. And Cardinals Seahawks reminds me of Colts Texans, or Colts Jags. I think Colts Jags. It can really really go either way. I know a lot of people are going to want Bills Chiefs. I'm going to look more into that, and we're going to know exactly who we're taking by probably 1:30. We'll see how those games start. I am leaning Chiefs because I think they're going to paint the picture that Allen can't beat Mahomes. Let's not forget, it's not like Brady lost to Manning right away, and they went back and forth. Manning lost most of those matches. Then he'd get the occasional harder win. So I think they're trying to portray these guys as the new Manning, Brady. And I think Mahomes gets the win on Josh Allen this time. In the playoffs, I think they will meet up where Allen might knock him out. To me, it just makes sense that Mahomes wins, especially at home here. And that's really it. The Rams, that line looks about right. I think a lot of people are going to take the Carolina spread because the Rams have not been what they should be. So I would lean Rams minus 10 on that one, and that's probably who I'm going to take, just because they shouldn't be 10-point favorites, and it seems like a trap. But again, the 4 o'clock games we'll get into. I just really wanted to get into the ones I figured you guys wanted covered the most. Jets, Packers jumped out at me big time, as did Bengals, Saints. The reason I'm staying away from Tom Brady is because that second straight week they are continuing the Tom Brady meltdown narrative. First, he's breaking tablets, and now he's kicking people, getting fines. So I can honestly see him barely winning and being angry. Or, that's just a decoy, and he has a great week. It's the Steelers. Just a game I feel like no sane person would want to touch. And then, like I said, my Saints explanation, I think it's going to be a very close game, similar to London when they played the Vikings. And you're going to see Dalton versus Burrow, and that's a great narrative. I think Dalton wins it, but I can definitely see if you don't want to take my advice and go with Cincinnati. But I do like the Saints there because it seems like a trap. And yeah, that's really it. If there's any other specific ones you want me to go into, just let me know. The rest look pretty. I don't like to pick ones that don't jump off the page or at least look a little suspicious. And these ones just look suspicious to me. So we had a good day overall. And now we're 38-2 on sequences. And of course, a loss sequence is big. We're 42-26, I think. Maybe a win or two. If Fresno won, then 43-26. Oh, Kyle, he's telling us we were wrong. Yeah, buddy, we were wrong 26 times. We were right 42, so better than most. And I'm just honest with people, so, I'm not trying to be rude to these people, but they love to wait, and then, especially when we're actually up, I don't know why they're trying to act like, negative about it. I could see if we were down or something, but Yeah, I think after tomorrow we'll be back to doubled up. We were actually doubled up now. We just have outstanding wagers, like I said. So but if tomorrow goes well, we could be. It's a little bit of a reach, but we could be close back up to like 500, which would be a triple up. Uh, probably it would probably be by the Thursday game, just because you figure 25 a sequence. You can do the math, but yeah, it's looking good. Again, there's no other system where we're going to take beatings like this, or even be in a position to take a beating for 475, like 3 days later for 420, and we're still up. I think about 80%, almost double, just because it's all about discipline. I've been talking with people on this in the Discord, and they admit it. They're like, yeah, it's all, I understand it. It's about discipline, and I'm not disciplined, so I like the system because it forces me to stay disciplined. You're not going to beat Vegas trying to win 51% of the games with the juice. You're going to have to win 60, and you're not going to do that. That's why I have this system, and that's why I always tell people if we stick to the system, it's long term. And I'll happily take a double up in 3 weeks, which is where we're at now. Anyone that wants to continue making money, we're going to keep doing it. Like I said, we had a really good day. Baseball didn't do too good for us, but that's all right. Baseball season's behind us, and most of our good picks have been football. It's okay, Victor. It hurts, but once you understand it's a system and no individual game the $420 loss should not matter more than a $25 win. That's when it's the easiest to just make money with the system, just playing the odds. But thank everybody for that support, being supportive. There's only about like 1 or 2 people that just come on here to be trolls, which is fine. Like I said, if we were down or the system wasn't working, I could see it, but I guess they're just negative, and maybe they're not making money, so they're just mad that we are. I'm not sure. But happy earnings to everybody. Take care, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow's game. They look pretty steady to me. And don't forget, Green Bay is a double up. It's leg 2 of Colorado State's loss. So that one's going to be to win 50 because it's going to be to win our 25 back. We did 25 on the Saints, 25 on the Eagles. That's going to be for later because we might have to do a double up on that. And then again, I do like Baltimore, 25 on them, and San Francisco. So just to make it easier for you, here's our picks. We got the Saints, we got the Niners, we got the Packers, and we got 2 more. We got sequence 53, which is going to be Baltimore -5. And again, these are all going to be right around 27 or so to win 25, unless it's a double up, in which case it'll be around 55. So that's sequence 53. And we have, like I said, we have the Eagles. That's going to probably be added onto a sequence, but we'll start it off with its own sequence for now. Because who knows, we might just win all of our games, right? And not have to worry about it. So it'll be Philly -6 here. And it's the same thing. It's going to be 27 to win 25. I know Vegas isn't going to give people the money line on this. The amount of people betting the money line I feel bad for them because it's just not going to happen. They might give them the spread, but I don't think so. There's heavy money on both sides for Dallas, and I just think Philly knocks them back to reality for the narrative they need to paint, which is, again, they need Dak. Rush did a good job. He kept a cool story going, but going into the Lions game, no payoff in my opinion. Philly going into 2 primetime games, way more of a payoff. So even a payoff for maybe the Commanders to play spoiler, something like that. That's something I expect. So yeah, those are our open sequences. Green Bay for a leg 2. New Orleans, San Francisco, and Baltimore are all going to be a leg 1. And then we're going to do Philly on a leg 1 unless we need to do it on a leg 2. And again, the metrics I used are simply against the spreads. As you can see today, the college football worked out for us. What's funny is it's showing Kansas covered the spread. It must have changed because when I picked Kansas, they weren't covering the spread. But that's cool. We'll just fade them again next week, so it's almost like a twofer. That's fine. But yeah, if you look at these spreads, they will be the biggest indicator That's another example. Fresno. We got Fresno with 5.5. They were getting 7.5 or something. I don't know how they're saying they didn't cover the spread, unless they got moved like within. No, they were underdogs. How are they saying they didn't cover the spread? I must be looking at it over under or something. No. Oh, it's not updated. There we go. Yeah, it's not updated. Okay. Now they're 1-5 on the spread. It just hasn't updated yet. I was wondering, I'm like, they were underdogs. How did they not cover a spread when they won the game? But yeah, it just hasn't updated. They did beat San Jose State. I always like to keep you guys updated, and I was a little confused. I'm like, why are they showing them as not having covered? But yeah, so with the decent day tomorrow, we'll be, like I said, rounded in on 400. And I will be touching on the night games again. It's just, of course, the night games are always tougher. So I like to really look into them as much as I can. So take care, guys. I just wanted to cover all of the football in detail because I know we had baseball and college going on today. Happy earnings, everybody.